Growing up in the 90s, card games were very popular, with the rise of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards, as well as the monolith of Magic the Gathering. These games always intrigued me. I appreciated the strategy, as well as the fine art and lore descriptions of the cards. The expensive nature of card collecting was a barrier for me as a child, and I only owned a few dozen. The rise of digital card games allowed me a new opportunity. I remember fondly playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games for PlayStation 1 and Game Boy. You were even able to port in cards you owned using special codes. I was thrilled to be able to collect all the cards and try out different decks and card combinations. The Game Boy Advance versions of the games included a pack opening system, which was a rewarding hook to keep you coming back and playing more. Me and a friend of mine often also played an old Magic the Gathering game through Xbox Live. The production value of these games, card animations and avatars, added an additional layer compared to playing in person. Eventually, I found Hearthstone. I remember the first time I played the tutorial. I was between computers and used a laptop to boot it up on a whim. The game was perfect for me, taking me right back to being a kid and playing my Game Boy. Hearthstone was a truly digital game, with many interactions that were impractical or impossible with physical cards. The different character classes allowed some agency and variety in deck building. As in its Game Boy Advance predecessors, collecting and opening packs was a big part of the gameplay loop of Hearthstone. I collected gold and bought the solo expansions, slowly collecting a wealth of cards as I made my way through the adventures. I played often, especially favoring the arena and dungeon run versions of the game. I found that my enjoyment wasn't in PvP battles with other players, but rather in making the best of a bad situation. Trying to win with a random assortment of cards was always my favorite. As the years went on, I stopped playing Hearthstone, but I still returned from time to time to play the dungeon runs. That game mode has a particular timeless charm. Each run can be drastically different, and the potential for random bosses keeps it fresh. I would often daydream little adventures based off the enemies and the way the deck leaned. Then I found Slay the Spire, which captures some of the essence of these dungeon runs in a full game. Slay the Spire is a deck-building roguelike with a handful of class archetypes. You chart your path through a dungeon map before confronting the boss of each floor. Slay the Spire's combat is turn-based, drawing a hand and using your cards as you see fit. The art style, like the combat, is simple but effective. As in many roguelikes, you have some agency to determine your build, collecting and purchasing items and cards to custom tailor your character. The enemy types are well balanced, with some familiar RPG tropes and mechanics. You can also acquire a small bonus for your next run if you progress past a certain point of the map. Each of the characters in Slay the Spire encourages a different type of playstyle, some which are easier than others. An honorable mention in the conversation about digital card games is Mega Man Battle Network, a game which takes a more action-centered approach to using cards as an interface. You battle on a grid as you make your way through the internet, fighting against many of Mega Man's classic bosses. Another interesting twist on the format is Duelist, a game which combines features from collectible card games with grid-based combat. Digital card games have many advantages over physical ones. Not only are they inexpensive, but allow you to play with people all over the world in a moment's notice. Still, there is something to be said for sitting down and challenging a friend to a duel. Overall, I rather enjoy card games, and it's no surprise that growing up, my family used to play together using a 52-card deck. We would play games like Euchre or Crazy Eights, precursors to my love for strategy. I encourage you to play Hearthstone. I hear the new player experience is much better than it used to be. And also Slay the Spire, a real gem. Thank you for listening.